I wanted to ask you something about that as well from Entourage then and now. But before that, going on what you were saying, Joe Rogan, obviously the king of podcasts, signed a deal with Spotify for an enormous amount of money, and now there's like this whole coalition of people trying to get him to lose that deal because of something that happened like 10 years ago that he didn't even say, that Joey Diaz said. Yeah. And it was probably it's just laughable comedy talk or whatever else, but it was kind of on that borderline Me Too thing. And then Joe Rogan laughed about it, and people are like wanting him to lose the entire deal because he laughed at just some random thing that they were just joking about 10 years ago. So I can see what you're saying. It's like, it's crazy, like how you got to be careful. And then I wanted to ask you, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's fortunately for Joe, it's a different time for him because he's got his own followers. He doesn't need anybody. It still sucks that people come at him like this. But Howard Stern dealt with that for 20 years when he actually, could be taken off the radio, could be fined by the government, could be all of this. So, I think obviously Joe will be fine. We know that, but it's nuts. I mean, it just is, and you saw it with the Billy Bush situation. Billy Bush laughed at something President Trump said. Trump went on to become the fucking president, and they basically banned Billy Bush. Hopefully he's back now, but 5 years for kind of anything. You could say anything. He was just trying to kiss his ass. He was just trying to whatever. He didn't really comment on anything. So I think it's a scary time. So, but you do have to be thoughtful about what you say, and you got to be a little careful about it. But there is a group out there that's just desperate to find the next person they can go after and attack,
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, because you being a writer and now dealing with all this, obviously you wrote a lot more loose with Entourage, the series. You look at, when I look back at some of the things the guys said back then and the talk, which was 100% accurate and 100% real and still the same, I think today, no different, most of what I remember. Are you scared as a writer to just be free with your writing and have to double check even more now, just in case someone, not that you're going to say something wrong, but that they might take it that you're saying something wrong and then it might set you back? Is that a big issue for you right now, being a writer?
I mean, it's not so much. I mean, look, I'm 52 now. I was in my 20s when I was starting writing that. I just wouldn't write stuff like that, not because of society or anything. It's just different from me. But of course, you think about what you say and what you do and blah, blah, blah. But, Entourage, again, was a very critically acclaimed show at the time. Like, It wasn't just like the stupid naked women running around. It was universally acclaimed and reviewed. There has been some revisionist history that it's disgusting and it's misogynistic and this and that, which, is upsetting because it wasn't. And I, believe me, took a lot of care to make sure that these guys, while they said guy talk, they were never aggressive or acting in a way that would be inappropriate. So, I mean, that was my PC mind at the time. But I wouldn't write stuff like that. And I haven't looked back at the show in years until we started doing this podcast. And there's stuff that I look at that I go, gee, whoa. It just wouldn't fly today. And it's not that I go, oh, that's so sad, because times change. And they've changed more in the last 7 years. I mean, there's classic movies I watch now, Airplane, which I go, oh, I've seen the movie 5,000 times. I've never thought anything of anything in it. Now you go, whoa, it's a little bit like this. Or, Eddie Murphy's old concerts that I knew line for line for line in 1983. Yeah. You now look back at, but that's, to me, the point. You don't really look back and go and judge them as in today's standards. You judge them for the time and what was going on and what did people at the time think about it. So, 60 whatever, when Lenny Bruce was coming, comedians couldn't even curse. So they helped push the boundaries and really help inform and shift society to some degree. And we're just going to have to see where it shakes out right now. I think there is a reasonable balance between comedy and offending people, so we'll find out how it goes.
Yeah, I think there was a part on your podcast where Kevin Dillon didn't want to repeat a line from Platoon. And even though Platoon was an epic classic film, you know what I mean? But it's just super sensitive right now.